Welcome to another episode of Cultivate. This is a show about you and your journey in the cannabis industry. It's moving fast, but there's room for everyone. Buckle up as we bring you the people and the technology that are blazing the trail. The one and only Ed Rosenthal. Hold that. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
I'm happy to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
is
It's
this
good
Scott
to be
Swell?
here.
Ed, how are you doing?
Good, Scott.
Yeah.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
See you at every trade show, it feels like.
Well, I don't do that many. We just go to the right ones.
Right.
So I want to start with at the beginning. I don't want to get too complicated, but there's a whole generation of people that need to be introduced to what you've done in the cannabis industry over the years. There's a whole bunch of people like our production crew that are saying, "Who's this Ed Rosenthal?" Can you talk about how you got started and what you did? Because you were an activist and a bit of a notorious figure in the cannabis industry back in the 80s.
Well, I think that marijuana should be legal, and that people, and I've always thought that people should not be persecuted or go to jail for marijuana. So that's number one. And so, and I was very interested in the cultivation of marijuana and doing research in that. And based on my research, I've been writing books. I have a number of books out on it. And at the same time, it allowed me the time to promote its legalization. So I was working both on teaching people how to grow and how to use it, and also trying to get it legal. And it's come to a little bit of a fruition here. If you look around.
Yeah, did you ever think it would turn into this? Is this this part of the vision?
I think that most people who are activists were looking at a more culturally sympathetic situation. But as long as we're living in a capitalist society, you're going to have this kind of entrepreneurism, and so I was not surprised. I'm not surprised that it's so fitting into the whole economic culture.
How many people do you think you've taught how to grow cannabis?
Oh, I don't know, tens of millions. You know, it's been over a long period of time, so every year there's a few more.
What is your favorite part of growing? I love to cook, and there's certain things for some reason I like chopping up veggies and whatever it might be, and that whole process.
Harvesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The payoff.
The harvest.
Yeah. The fruits of your labor.
Exactly.
Do you have a favorite strain?
Well, I have a number of favorite strains as sort of OG strains. One is Northern Lights 5 Haze, which is explosively creative. And another is J27, which is not around a lot, but it is a very social and socially active. You interact with people a lot.
So I wanted to get the bookmark out for the new book. This is the latest.
Yeah, I have a copy of it.
You do?
Yeah.
Jane's gonna get a copy of the book, Marijuana Garden Saver.
In the gray bin.
So we'll give you a look at that.
Yeah.
This is available widely at.
Yes. And Marijuana Garden Saver. What we did in that book, it's an IPM book. We don't promote any solutions that where you can't pronounce.
Jane, peek your head in here real quick. Jane always avoids the spotlight because she's responsible for Ed. And thank you for fetching the books.
All right. Well, it's great to be this man's wrangler.
Nice. All right, here we go.
My thought in writing this book was not to promote any products whose contents you couldn't pronounce.
Nice.
So all these chemical pesticides and things, they're not in the book.
So you cover everything from soup to nuts that you'd need to know to get started or to be a better grower?
Well, this book is really for people who are growing and to work on their garden and tweak it and make it a better garden. So, but it's not only for cannabis, because the same insects, pests, diseases, and stresses that affect cannabis affect your tomato plant and other plants. So really it can be used as a general garden book as well as for marijuana. And this is a book, Beyond Buds, Next Generation, that's about concentrates, edibles, and things like that. And probably more marijuana or more THC now is used in edibles and concentrates rather than as flour. So this book is about that.
Do you prefer flour or edibles?
I prefer everything.
Yep.
So I'm an omnivore as far as cannabis is concerned.
Yeah, and how often do you medicate? Is that a part of your daily ritual every day?
Well, I only do it when I'm alone or with people.
Only alone or with people. So it's fair to say that you're possibly a little elevated at the moment.
Yeah.
It's a part of your lifestyle.
Yeah. And, I've learned, you only have one life to live, so why not live it high? So.
Well, with so much of the focus on cultivation and solving problems in cultivation and the culture of cannabis, have you... you've been around long enough to see a lot of testimony about the medical impact of cannabis on people's lives. Is that something that drives you, the good that's coming out of it medically for people?
I've seen people who were in wheelchairs get into walkers as a result of that. Now, people might not think of that as much, but for the individual, that's life-changing.
Oh, yeah.
That mobility is life-changing. And I've seen other examples of that, other diseases that different people have. So that is important to me, but more important to me is that I would like to see this country go from being an alcoholic country to being cannabis-centric. And, since this country was colonies, it's always been at war. There has not been a day in the history of the United States or the British colonies when there haven't been military actions taking place. And I'd like to see a change to a different kind of society, and I think that cannabis can be an agent of that change.
So this is the NCIA Summit in San Jose, California. This is Cultivate, a podcast brought to you by Boveda, where we bring you the people and the technology that are blazing a trail in the cannabis industry. Yes. You are arguably the preeminent trailblazer in this industry.
Well, I'm in the forest, so I don't know.
I read something cool the other day, and you are a Grower Hall of Fame inductee at the Grow Up event coming up in Niagara. I think it's September 12th.
Yes.
Did you know that?
Yes.
That's
I'm
awesome.
aware of that. Yes.
Well,
I'm
congrats.
looking forward to that. And first of all, I really love being in Canada. It's a little less tense these days than the United States, and it's moving ahead in a great way. And I really appreciate what Grow Up is doing.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's awesome. It's
Drew
awesome.
and I will be there walking around.
We will. We'll see you there.
Yeah.
Get to spend some time
this
there.
has been great. And, I just will say that I do use Boveda products.
Oh, you're throwing in a plug for us?
I'm throwing in a plug.
I love it.
do.
Yeah.
That's right. And you've also mentioned us in your books. You've been very kind to us.
I actually do use the product. So,
Nobody likes dry weed.
Right. Well, when you have dry weed, it's time to do processing.
Right. I got one last question
Go
for
for it.
me
Yeah.
that I like to ask everyone, or we've been asking everyone in this series of podcasts here at NCAA. But if there are people listening or watching that would want to get into the industry, whether it be from a job standpoint or just be a part of it and support it and move it forward, what advice would you give them?
Intern. I mean, it might be a paid position, but don't learn it on your time. Learn what you want to do.
Yep.
But
You've had a series of interns over the years that have helped you.
yes, every one of them has moved on within the industry.
Yeah,
the
we've met
latest
a
one is
number of them.
Darcy.
Yeah, Darcy's
Darcy.
awesome.
Yeah, and she's, usually people stay with us 3 or 4 years, and then they can get, they move on.
That's like an advanced degree in cultivation by the time they've
yeah.
spent that much time with you.
You know, there are people who had maybe no interest or a passing interest. Shelley Newhart was looking for a job, and she worked with me for 5 years, and now she has a PhD in sociology of cannabis, basically. And
Wow.
and she's involved in that area. And then, Angela Baca worked for me, and now she's an independent investigative journalist around cannabis.
Yep.
So,
So you have a website that people can go to find.
edrosenthal.com, and there are a lot of. I also have a Twitter feed.
I can buy the books there as well.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Or on Amazon. And in a lot of bookstores. So yeah.
That's good. It's really a privilege to have you on our podcast.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for.
Thanks for being
having
so
me.
kind to Boveda.
Thanks.
Boveda has it's just a great product, and it's helping people enjoy their cannabis more.
Yeah.
That's what we're about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ed Rosenthal, the guru of Ganja.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to tell people they went from tobacco to cannabis. They're much happier.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks for being with us.
Thank
Thank you.